You can't laugh during the intro music.
Oh, what a start.
Holy shit. We are back. And I mean, we are back.
I'm back, bitches.
Woodworking is Bullshit is back with the original cast of clowns and characters. Mary Tisai is back.
I'm back.
I'm your host,
It's
Paul
only
Jasper.
been a year.
It's not been a year.
Feels like it.
All right. I'm your host, Paul Jasper, scientist by day, woodworker by night, and I'm joined, as you know, with Eric Curtis, fine furniture maker, content creator, and I already said who's here with us.
Oh my God.
The third musketeer is back in the fucking chair.
Goddamn
Mary
right,
Sai.
baby.
Oh, hi. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Mary
Good to
Tisai.
see all the bullshit. Let's start off with grievances, because fuck the internet. Here's what I want to know.
Oh my God.
I'm coming out hot.
What's
So
happened?
Paul sent to the group chat. Oh no, not even to the group chat, just to me.
I didn't get it.
A Reddit post where somebody was like, "Oh, I listened to this Woodworking is Bullshit podcast, and it was Mary was kind of cool, but like the other two people were so insufferable." This motherfucker, like, first of all, I don't take offense when people call me insufferable on the internet anymore.
They actually didn't call you insufferable. They called you beyond annoying.
Beyond annoying. I'm so
Wow.
sorry to offend.
It was me, actually.
Fuck Reddit. I just want to know what kind of clown is out here. Like, I just need more definitions in my podcasts.
Plenty of people.
Well, if you're looking for the username, it's falling up down there. I just did that.
Falling up, down there.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So what I want to know is, how are we going to convince this person that we're actually the cool ones on the podcast?
And I'm not? Are you saying that's reverse?
Yes, that part.
Well. All right. So did you get your grievance out?
No, I've got other grievances about the internet. Here we go.
Wait, Paul, did you respond?
I did.
said-
I didn't respond to that direct comment because
Oh,
I
I
didn't want to
see,
see
okay.
argumentative. But I left the next comment saying, "I think
Well,
that
so-
podcast is actually great."
Here's what annoys me about that. Number one, there is no response to that can be had, because otherwise you're just
That's
like
true.
an asshole defending yourself on the internet, which is never
I
a
could
good look.
respond. I could be like, oh, hey, bestie, thanks.
Mary,
I totally agree.
It takes one half-hearted compliment. He didn't even say Mary was amazing and I love her. He was like, Mary's
Yeah,
like kind
She's
of
like, okay.
Comparatively, she's tolerable.
You're supposed to stand up for us,
And she's
Mary.
out here swooning.
Nah, it was me. I read it.
Oh my god, the worst. All right, shall we get to
Fine.
today's
We can
show?
talk
Are
about
you
actual
done with
things.
complaining, Eric?
I just wanted to complain about the internet.
All right, I'm glad you're done complaining now. Today's show, we're gonna roll this old school, and we're gonna define some shit because Mary's here.
Oh my God.
Today's
So excited.
show is on this idea of: are you talented, or do you just work really hard? And what's the difference? So people say, oh, I've had this many times. People say, oh my God, Paul, they see something you make and they say, you're so talented. And I didn't know what to
Fucking
make of
hate
that,
that.
because I never ever knew what to make of that comment, because what does that mean? Does that mean like I was born with it? Does that mean I'm good at it? Does that mean I earned it through like hard work? So I never know how to take that. So let's start by defining talent. I looked up talent in the dictionary before the show, Mary. And talent.
Did you see my face there?
In fact, I did. Talent is defined as a natural skill or ability to be good at something, especially without being taught. So to me, that speaks of it's an aptitude. So you're born with it.
Hold on.
What that suggests is talent is something you're born with.
Can I also, I fully married also before this because I wanted to know the definition or the difference between aptitude and talent. So talent is like like you said, something you're born with, something that you can do innately, something that you don't have to learn. Aptitude is the natural ability to learn something, to be like your mind is able to learn something more easily than something else. And I think that's an important difference, because I hate when people look at my work and they go, "Oh, you're so talented," because that negates all of the hard work that I put in to learn the skill. I do think I have an aptitude toward woodworking and building, and I don't know about design, but I do think the actual physical act of building things does come naturally to me, but I had to learn it. There was no point in my life where I just like looked at a building and went, "Oh, I can figure out how that goes together," without somebody teaching me. But once somebody taught me, it made sense.
I'm the opposite. I think
you're just so fucking talented that it's just everything's easy for you.
Yeah, I piss talent, basically.
It's good to have you back on the pod, buddy.
I mean, this is spicy right out the
your
gate.
Arrogance.
This is so spicy.
No, I was gonna say, I think that I have more aptitude towards the design side and less towards the building side, which like checks out given our actual careers.
Yeah,
but yeah.
That's it. That's all you're going to give me?
Well, hold on. I have a few questions first. Wait, but Eric, my God, you are on fire today. I'm
coming in hot.
You're coming in hot at Mary. You're like, is that all you're giving me? I need more. All right. So I hadn't realized the distinction. So there's like 3 levels to this. There's I do not have an aptitude and I just work really fucking hard. That's one level. The second level is I have an aptitude, meaning I'm good at learning, but I still have to work hard to learn it. And the third is talent, which is I can do it without really any work. It's just kind of there. It's like perfect pitch. Like some musicians are born with perfect pitch.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good comp.
Like, that's a talent. Like there's no learning involved. I mean, a little bit, but they just have it.
But that's the thing, though, right? Like, well, okay, if you're a musician, then it's a talent. It is a valuable skill to have. It's
just like a skill, right? Okay. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I feel like perfect pitch or photographic memory is just something you're born with.
That is true.
And talent is along that same lines, right? Like some people can just like they come out of the womb and they just know how to play the fucking violin. Some people come out of the womb and they just know. Don't smile in that like knowing smile, Mary. That was I think talent is valuable, but talent has its limitations because you don't actually know anything yet.
Okay. Oh, you're saying talent without application is wasted.
Talent without work is wasted.
Yes, I would agree.
And I think talent will get you pretty far. Like this is where like child prodigies come into play. Like you can get pretty far just on talent, but if you don't then take that talent and work on it and refine it and actually master the craft that it is involved in, then you end up just being somebody who was pretty good when they were 14. And, now you're 40 and like, okay, what have you done?
Okay, I see that. So can we each of us talk, like, have you ever thought about this topic with yourself? Like whether you're talented or have an aptitude or just hard work. Have you ever thought about this?
I think about it every time somebody tells me I'm talented and I hate it.
Okay, so let's go through. Eric, what are you and what % of each?
I think percentage is a good way to frame it.
It also depends what you're talking about too, right? Like the subject.
Okay,
so
can
Mary
we limit it to woodworking for the moment?
More. Yeah.
Let's limit it to woodworking. As it's in the name of our podcast.
I think Mary's wondering whether it's the execution part or the design part.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's better to limit it to something so that's more tangible.
Okay, let's say the craft right now of woodworking, and then we can go to design later on because I do think those are different answers for me.
Making shit,
just physically making shit. I think I would put it a pretty close to even split, like pretty close to like 30s across the board with a lean toward aptitude. I think a lot of things make sense to me naturally. and that's why it's hard to parse like talent versus aptitude. But
Okay.
no small part of it has been the hard work of actually like mastering the physical skill,
So
hand tool
30,
work,
30,
machine
30.
work, etc. I'm going to put it roughly there.
Okay, Mary.
Mary?
For me, talent is the least, is definitely the smallest chunk. I'd put that maybe at like, I don't know, 10-15%. And then the other two are probably split. Um, yeah, I would say like 10-15% talent and then even for the other two.
I would say small talent for making things. I would say 10%. And I would say aptitude strong. I learn quickly. So I would say like 50%. And then the remaining 40% is doing. So I think I have a high aptitude, but low talent, low innate talent, but high aptitude for learning it.
Okay. And what
And
about the design? Let's snake it. Paul, you go first this time. What
so
about
the
design?
funny enough, I think there's a talent component there because I can just look at something instantly. Just the minute I look at it, I know what's wrong with it. So at least for my design aesthetic, I know instantly what's wrong with it. It doesn't. I don't have to sit there and hem and haw. Like I just know. I can see it instantly.
Well, so is that a thing that you could do 10 years ago? Or is that a thing that you can do now with the amount of experience you have?
I always knew when something looked stupid to me.
Okay.
And I was always kind of there in the background. Maybe I listened to it more. It's more well developed, but I always knew that looks dumb. And here's why. If they just changed that, that would look so much better and I could instantly go to it. And I realized that I thought that's everyone. I thought everyone's kind of like has those thoughts. And then it occurred to me that that's not necessarily true. And so I was like, oh, maybe I have a design talent then. Maybe I do. I don't know. I didn't know.
So what are your percentages then?
For design, I would say maybe like 30, 40, 30.
Which?
So 30 talent, 40 aptitude, 30 hard work.
Okay. All right. Mary?
Interesting. I have a funny story that what Paul just said reminded me of. I have perfect pitch. I didn't know I had perfect pitch until middle school because I didn't know what perfect which pitch was until my music teacher told me that I had it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I was like, wait, I just thought everyone was so bad at music. It's like everyone around me was just idiots because I couldn't understand what these notes were without any reference. And it like all clicked for me back then. Anyway, sorry.
I can't believe you have perfect pitch. That's exceedingly rare.
It happens in more people of ethnicities that come from tonal languages, supposedly.
That's incredible.
That's interesting.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So design. This one's hard because I've gone to school for so long that it's hard for me to differentiate at this point. Let's see. I would probably say fairly even split across the board. Design is also difficult because it's so subjective because your interpretation of design and what's right is completely different from someone else's.
But fuck everybody else's opinion. Like, how do you feel about your work and how easily you come to a design decision now versus what you did 15 years ago?
Yeah. I would still probably say around an even split.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric?
I have next to zero natural design talent or aptitude. I think, so as we've separated talent and aptitude, I would say it's like maybe 5% talent. Like it is like next to nothing. I won't give it a 0 because I feel like that's tipping the scales too far. Aptitude, it was really hard to learn. Like music came naturally to me. Building things came naturally to me. Sports came naturally to me, even though I was exceedingly mildly above average. Design was like trying to drill a hole in the wall of my forehead. It was
There's
just
no right or wrong answer in design.
no. I don't even think it's that. I think I have, specifically when it comes to design, a more mathematical, scientific mind than I do an artistic mind. And so it wasn't until I learned that you could break design down into like basic addition and subtraction equations that it began to make sense to me. And so I think it was largely just like the hard work of finding a way to learn the thing that worked with my brain. And so in that regard, I'm going to give it, I don't know, we'll call it 80% hard work, 15% aptitude, 5% talent.
That is a good entryway into learning design, like approaching it from like the mathematical side of like, oh, these are like some of the hard rules that design follows. And
Yeah, but nobody, in my experience, nobody teaching design teaches it to people who don't naturally get it. Because if you don't have an aptitude for design, they just go like, it's not your calling. Like, you're not one of us. So just see yourself out. And so I had to be like, no, I want to be fucking good at this. Like, I want to learn it. And it was 15 years in the making or whatever it was until I went like, oh, here's a way that I can learn it. So
that's so sad to hear, though. I feel like those are shitty teachers.
I mean, a lot of them. But I think they're also, I don't know, like a lot of the problem in the woodworking world, often in my experience at least, is we're so focused on teaching the craft that we don't teach the design. And the designers who went to school for design don't look at the craftsman as equal. So it's this like, who are you then going to learn design from? You know, the people teaching the craft or the people who don't take the craftsman seriously?
Yeah, I mean, if you separate it out, they can technically be two completely separate fields.
Sure.
Which is why that blend, that overlap is really difficult.
Well, I mean, if we continue to take music as an analogy, being a musician, as in that you are somebody who plays an instrument professionally and somebody who composes, are two different, they're two different professions.
Yeah, so, I was so bad at composing. Oh my god, that was one thing where I was like, I'm so bad at this, I'm not even gonna try.
Ironically enough, composing always made sense to me. Like when I took basic music theory through like sophomore year of college, and composition was a class that I always had, and I could just do it. It just made total sense. It was just math. It was like, here's where you start, here's how you separate the chord structure, and here's how you resolve it.
So I have a comment. So first of all, an observation and then a comment. The observation is all of us think that we have low talent, maybe decent aptitude, but a lot of hard work. That seems to be the overarching theme here, right? That's the observation. I think a lot of listeners will feel that way too. I think very few of us are like, oh yeah, I have tons of talent. It always feels like you have to work super hard, or you're just like, okay, I learned it. I'm a quick learner, but I still had to put in a lot of hard work. So it's always like sweat equity seems to be like the lion's share. And then, but the question is, Eric, you said, oh, it's simple. It's just math. And Mary, you were like, yeah, you could learn design because it's about proportions, and math informs good proportions and eye-pleasing stuff. But so that's true. I don't take issue with that. And then I'm wondering, well, if it's as simple as math, anyone can learn that, right? Like anyone can like study classical proportions and mimic that. But what separates really special people from the rest of the crowd? If you just say, oh, it's easy, I can compose, it's just math, you're not going to be a really, truly exceptional once in a lifetime composer. You're just going to be like everyone else who learned the same math rules, and you kind of all make the same pieces out of, is there like, what is that special sauce that makes like those certain people just the it factor? Like, what is that talent on top of it?
Oh, that's a hard question. Maybe.
If anyone can learn it, if it's in a book or a class and anyone can learn it, how are you gonna rise above the pack?
Yeah, but if you don't have a natural aptitude toward it, and I think moving forward, I'm probably going to conflate talent and aptitude often. So let's just get that out of the way right now. If you do not have a natural disposition toward it, then you're going to struggle to move beyond the rules that are set in front of you. And either that or like, you know, you're manic and you just like keep doing the thing until until you accidentally do something good. Like those are the options, right?
Mary, do you think the people who like are at the top, like the famous artists, why are they famous? Did they have a
God.
talent? Did they have a talent? Like I know I'm asking you to generalize.
If I could
know
answer that, I'd be famous.
But do you think it's that they had that special sauce, that talent that the others didn't have, or did they just get a lucky break?
I think it's a combination of luck, maybe in like their time period, in like the way that they thought. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for this, but I think that we can agree that everyone has to have a baseline understanding of like, you know, hard work, aptitude, talent, etc. Like we all understand the baseline of design foundations, and I think it's just when you start to reach outside of what you see and try to make a name for yourself, that's when more of the talent either shines or doesn't shine, or like your lack of talent or your I don't know, the talent that you do have, it really shows there. So when you try to step outside of the pack, I guess. But
That's
I
when
don't know.
aptitude shines?
I don't have a good answer for that.
But isn't that then like if you have two equally talented people and one tries to step outside what's being done and succeeds and the other one doesn't, then that's hard work that sets them apart. So
Yeah, that's true.
you know, so I feel like these three things are inherently linked. I don't know
Yeah,
that
Do you
that's
think
one
that
sets
everyone
one
has
apart.
a similar kind of baseline in terms of talent, and it's the other
No.
two areas?
No, absolutely
Okay.
not. And this
I think-
idea that
yeah.
everybody's special and talented is fucking nonsense.
No, I think aptitude and talent are genetically heritable traits in general.
Interesting.
Are you like, what do you think that everybody has the same level of talent? As somebody who literally just before this call told me that they read 3 or 4 books in the last 2 weeks, and I typically read, I don't know, a page a night as I fall asleep of a book. So do we have the same level of talent when it comes to consuming information on the written page?
That's a good point that I hate that you're making.
Do
Yeah.
you though? Because I was just like, you're smart and I'm dumb.
All right.
Well, no, it's just okay. Fine. Let's move on.
Do you think society rewards one more than the other? Does society reward hard work more than being talented, or does society see these one-off people, these, I don't know, I'm going to use a few names like Michael Jordan or Tom Brady, and say like they're super special and that's why they're, you know.
Those are interesting
know.
examples, though. Mary,
Yeah,
go ahead
let's
first.
take those examples because I
Let's
think
take those two. Go ahead.
Yeah, fine.
I
Take
don't
it.
know if society's able to determine that in the same way that we were talking about it, though,
like
because
that.
of course they're going to see it from like some faraway perspective of like, oh, even if they did have talent, or even if they spent all the hard work, they're going to say that's
Yeah.
talent, that's whatever.
Yeah, that's
So like,
true.
I don't know if it's easy to break that down.
Yeah, I mean, and there's always the I don't know what the proper verbiage is, like when somebody succeeds, it's a confirmation bias, I guess. Once somebody succeeds, then it's easy to point out like
That
what
they were
they had
talented.
going for them. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they were like Tom Brady was so talented that he was the 199th pick in the draft in the year 2000. Or Michael Jordan was so talented, except for the fact that he was a known fucking sociopath on the team and drove everybody insane with his work ethic because he was obsessed with being better than everybody else. So is it talent? Is it hard work?
Well, I would say Tom Brady, of course, he's very good throwing a football. His mechanics were excellent. But
Years down the road.
Yeah, but my thinking is his talent was actually his intellect and his decision making. And that was always
He
there.
also came into, and this is not taking anything away from him, even as a Jet fan.
Yes, it is.
But he came. No, this is maybe taking something away from young Tom Brady. He came into a situation that was ideal. And he had time to develop. He had time to develop into the Tom Brady that we think of now. And that's critical, I think. Whereas like Michael Jordan came into the league and he was Michael Jordan from the jump, but what he wasn't was a champion yet. And it took him 9 or 10 years to develop the ability to not be a solo player on the court and learn how to pass the ball, learn how to set up people for the shot. He didn't win a championship before Scottie Pippen, and he didn't win a championship after Scottie Pippen. Okay.
Shut it.
It's a team sport, and he had to learn how to be a team player, and that's the skill that he had to develop.
I don't know. Anywho,
Oh my God.
Mary, I have a follow-up question. When you think about your sense of self, either as a woodworker or as a UX designer or as a violin player, do you define yourself, and do we globally define ourselves more based on our talents or our hard work?
I think we would prefer to define ourselves on our hard work. Because you don't want to come off as someone like, I'm naturally talented at everything, or I just was already above everyone and like barely had to put in any work. I feel like everyone is always going to want to define themselves by how much work and time and effort they put into something. What, Eric? Are you going to challenge me on that? You're making a face.
I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't making any faces, dog.
I wasn't thinking about how you were just talking about how you have perfect pitch. And
Oh my God.
playing violin just came so easily to you, so natural.
I did not say that. I said I have perfect pitch. Playing violin took many, many, many thousands of hours of practice.
I believe that. I do think we are going to want to define ourselves by our hard work because it's not in vogue at this moment in time in our
more
culture.
Socially acceptable.
Yeah. It's like as Americans, we love the idea of the self-made person. But nobody's fully self-made. You're going to have a natural talent to it, and then that's going to get you into a good position or a good school, and then you're going to learn from good people, and then you're going to develop good connections, and then you're going to have a successful career because X, Y, or Z. None of it is just talent or just hard work.
Well, that reminds me of something my dad said to me. I had just got my PhD, and my stepmom was like, "Oh, Paul, you're so brilliant. That's wonderful." And my dad goes, "He's not brilliant. He just works hard."
I mean, that's...
Oh man, you should have Asian parents. They'll just always tell you that nothing's good.
That's an interesting thing to say. What was your reaction to that in that moment?
I thought to myself, "Oh, I mean, I don't know if he's reflecting his own opinion of himself because he sees himself in me, or if he's right. Like maybe it is mostly hard work." I wasn't offended or defensive at all. I was like, "Wow, that's a really..."
Did you take it as a compliment?
I didn't know how to take. I didn't know how to take it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if it was a slam or a compliment or like somewhere in between. I don't know.
How do you out his intentions aside? How do you take that now, reflecting back on it?
He's not smart. He just... Well, it's a family joke. Every time we see each other, we're like, "He's not smart. He just works hard." So that's become a thing. How do I take it now? I don't know. Eric, it doesn't really move the needle for me. I think what my dad missed is I have an aptitude for learning. That is my aptitude. I have one, that is the only aptitude I've been able to point my finger to and say, yes, I have an aptitude for learning. I pick up on things very quickly, and it's almost effortless to learn new stuff. And it has been. I've never failed at anything I've wanted to learn.
Is your dad the same way?
No. He struggled and struggled and struggled. He had an inability to learn. He had a real hard time learning.
So is that where that thought, and I'm fully projecting now, is that maybe where that reaction came from? Is this idea of like, well, it's not that he's special. He is my son.
Yes.
Right? And so he worked hard because I work hard because that's how I navigate the world.
That's what I took it as in the moment. He was projecting onto me, his opinion of himself. But
It's a real therapy session.
We're actually him and I are actually very, very different. So I don't know about that. Last question about this. Do you feel more fulfilled when you achieve something when it's based on your hard work or based on like your aptitude or
It
talent?
depends on how hard it was. Like I mean, the answer is of course hard work, because that's the answer that we want to give, because we're socially conditioned to believe that if we work hard for it, that it matters more and we've earned it.
Plus, that's actually measurable. You can measure it in a quantity of, X number of hours or whatever. It's so hard to know how to measure your talent or your aptitude.
But that's the thing, right? Is it's like, so if I make an object and it's easy and somebody smiles, somebody cries, somebody feels something big, like that's a measure of, I would say, my aptitude, right? Like I've learned a thing, it's easy and I can do it, and it didn't take a lot of effort on my part, but it mattered to them. If I do a thing and it is a grind, there's no, like, by the time I get, and maybe this is just, I've been doing it long enough that by the time I get to that end of that project, I'm like, I can't stand this fucking thing. It was so exhausting physically and emotionally that there's no like value of self-reflection in it. It was just fucking hard.
So you're saying that there's a point in which there's a line that gets crossed where before that you're like, this is so hard, but I'm so satisfied with now that it's done and I went through all the hard work, and then past that it's like, this was just so hard that like I hate it.
Yeah, and on the reverse end of that spectrum, like there's a point where like I could do a thing and it's easy and I don't think about it and it's just done and somebody loves it, and it's like, that I kind of feel like I cheated a little bit, like I didn't put in the work.
Well, almost
And
like
so,
working in a degree of suffering is required to feel like you did a good job.
Or I mean, yes, suffering is,
that's like a thing.
It's not, you're not wrong in saying that. I guess what I'm thinking is just like, as an example, the cabinet I just made for Sarah, even though there was an extreme time limitation on it, I cut dovetails because I felt like the cabinet needed to be dovetailed. And had I not done that, it would have been a lot less stressful for the time constraints. But knowing that I felt the thing needed to be dovetailed, that it got done with the dovetails feels good. So maybe like, like suffering is not an inappropriate word.
What was the time constraint?
Larissa and I had to build a cabinet within 24 hours each.
Okay.
And so we both ended up doing dovetails for some reason because we're both fucking masochists.
Or are you talented?
No, dovetails has nothing to do with talent. Absolutely not.
That's
a
all hard
goddamn thing
work.
with talent.
So actually, can we as a trio here talk for a moment about why this may matter to the listener? I've been thinking like this is an interesting topic about talent versus aptitude versus hard work. And I've always kind of thought about it about myself and like, what am I? Like part this, part that. But like, why would a listener care about this topic? Why does this matter?
Because everyone's got imposter syndrome. They always look at someone else and be like, oh, they're so talented. Oh, they're so good. I'm sure they put in a lot of hard work, but I'm also sure they have like more talent than me. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But it's important that everyone acknowledges that this is something that we all suffer from.
I agree with you 100%.
That's a great
question,
answer.
though. Did you, either of you or both of you, at the beginning of your woodworking journeys, feel like go to a show, go to a craft fair, whatever it is, and like look at other people's work and think that thought of like, oh, I could never do that. They're so talented.
I knew I could do it.
Oh, I thought that all the time. But to be fair, I also thought my first thought when I see that is their design sense is so much more interesting than mine. It's not the craftsmanship.
Okay, all right. So let's take the craft out of it for
That's
you.
it,
When
Mary.
you see somebody's design, do you think like, or 10 years ago, Mary, 15 years ago, Mary, did you think I could never do that? They're so much more talented. Or did you think, how did they do that? I bet I could, if like given enough time and work, I bet I could do that.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember. I feel like it's probably sometimes both. Because sometimes there's just pieces that blew my mind. I was like, I don't know how they did that. I don't know how they came up with the concept. This literally is so far out of my realm of understanding that I don't know if I could have done that. But then there's some pieces I was like, that's a little bit more achievable. That's super cool that they spent the time in this area. I think if I had the similar amount of, I don't know, time and expertise, maybe I could do something similar. So it really depended on the piece.
Did you? So I am, I think, like Paul, in that if I saw something that blew my mind, even if it was, I knew decades down the road from my level of experience and skill, um, I never thought like I could never. My thought was always like, oh, I'm gonna figure the fuck out and I'm gonna do that thing. Um, but I'm wondering, like, so when you saw, Mary, those pieces that were so far outside your skill set, so far outside your understanding of design, did it intimidate you? Did it make you
Mm-mm.
feel like, okay? So I
No,
think
definitely not.
that's the key factor there, right? Of like, as a young person looking at those pieces, you're not intimidated by them. You know
No,
you
it's
can't do them
inspiration.
yet.
That's definitely inspiration.
I think that is an important thing to point out to listeners. Paul, all the way back to your original question of like, if you go to a show, you go to a museum, you go to whatever it is, and you walk in and you don't feel intimidated by those pieces, you're in the right place. Like,
I
you are
like
in the
that.
right field. Keep fucking going. It might take you years and decades, but keep fucking going, dog.
I love that message. So can I want to like be more specific about my answer. I would go into, like, let's say the MFA or whatever, and I would see this amazing period furniture, or I see furniture all the time on like Instagram, and I always know how to build it. That has never upset me. I know I can build that, no problem. Like, I could always figure it out, no big deal. The execution never intimidated me, but I see design all the time, and I am like, how in the world did they come up with that? That idea would have never come to me in a million years. If you held a gun to my head, I couldn't have thought of that. So it's like the design seems, in many cases, impossibly difficult to me. Whereas the craft and the execution seems like, no big deal. I could totally do that. No, no, no. So it's this weird separation of the two, because if like with design, there feels like there's this like ethereal component to it that I can't quite put my finger on. And I know, Mary, you're probably going to say, no, Paul, there's guiding principles to help get your
I would disagree with that.
I was not going to say that at all.
But like, it seems so magical to me sometimes. Some designs I see seem so magical and so unthinkably good, and I would have never come to that in a million years. It seems insurmountable.
Yeah, it's because there's no limit in design. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no kind of, this is like these are the steps to take, which in craftsmanship, that is something you can kind of achieve the necessary steps to reach something. Yeah. So, but design is not. It's not always linear. You iterate. You constantly iterate. It's very cyclical. Just, I don't know. It's ups and downs too.
Can we? And I'm not trying to pick on you or push back against you, because I know that that's like the verbiage that you learned. But for the listeners, can we just articulate that iterating and playing are the same thing? For those of us who don't have like a design background, going through more iterations and more versions of a thing, and just like tinkering and playing and discovering, those are the same process.
Paul, do you disagree?
He looks like he disagrees.
No, iterating and playing are the same thing, but one implies like it's easy and it's fun and it's just, I'm playing, it's so great. And to me, iteration involves a lot of hard work, and it can be quite stressful. Because there's like expectations about what the next iteration should be. It should be better than the last.
Okay, all right.
Like,
that's a fair pushback.
As like a scientific, like a very rigorous
this
thing.
motherfucker.
See, I disagree with that, because I think iterations. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But like playing almost trivializes it. It's like, I'm just playing. Or it's not quite that simple. Okay, go ahead.
I would say playing's like more akin to experimentation, but the part that I disagree with is, or might personally, is the iteration part, because I think when I iterate, each step doesn't always have to be better. It's so that I can have a large field of choices for me to see out of those, which do I think is the best, which is not as good? What did I learn from all these different iterations? So it's not linear for me there.
I see. Well, that's a very art point of view. When I say iterate and I think about an experiment, I'm going to do this and change this one variable and see if it improved. I'm going to change that variable.
As soon as you use the word variable, dog.
Yeah. So yeah, iteration. I guess I have a very slanted version of iteration.
I mean, I don't know that it's better or worse. Everybody's mind works differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I'm thinking like you hear a song and it just hooks in you, right? Like it's that earworm, and you're like, what's different about it from every other song that uses that same chord progression, a variable of a melody? And it's, who knows what it is? Could be a rhythm, could be the combination of elements, but 99% of the time, like, and I'm talking about like actually, I don't want to say actually good music. That's a very judgmental way to phrase it, but like moving aside from like bubblegum pop into like people who write songs professionally, most of the time those iterations come through playing and like varying 2 or 3 degrees and just discovering things, and then it either works or it doesn't, and they put out an album and maybe one song clips on Paul's ear one way and it just gets stuck in his brain, and another song sticks in my ear in a different way and it gets stuck in my brain. Like this is why design is so tricky, because I think my best work is X, and Paul looks at my body of work and he goes, your best work is Y.
Yep. Design is subjective. I cannot say that enough.
All right. Well, for the listeners, the reason we chose to do this, I think, reflects on Mary's answer, which is, if you feel like you're struggling, I think we all feel like we're struggling most of the time. And not very few of us gave ourselves like a high talent score. I think most of it just feels like good old fashioned hard work. And Eric, that's probably why you bristle a little bit when someone's like, "Oh, you're so talented," because it trivializes the decades of mountains of hard work you've made to get where you are. Not knowingly trivializes, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
It would also be weird if they're like, "Oh, look at all the hard work you did."
They'd be like, you clearly have zero talent. Yeah,
that's my dad. It's just hard work. He's not smart.
I mean, that's fair, and I don't take offense from that person. It's just, it's mildly irritating when people negate the fact that like you had to work really. But again, that's like the American self-made bias of just like, we value the idea of hard work.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yep.
Is there any culture that doesn't though?
No.
I think that's just a human condition.
Yeah. I mean, because we survived based on hard work, right? I mean, human survival is based on hard work.
Darwinism could be survival of
the fittest meaning like you're good at it and you ran fast away from Mr. Saber-tooth Tiger.
That's true. All right, we're getting off topic.
All right, so
you're good at it and you ran fast is a pretty good t-shirt.
All right, so our second we're going to switch to our second topic early. We usually go like an hour, but we thought we'd have a second segment today about the importance, speaking of hard work, the importance of taking breaks and napping.
Oh man, I love napping so much.
All right, I have a question right off the jump for you two clowns. Do either of you wear glasses?
I used to till I got LASIK.
Okay.
Or contacts.
When I work at the computer for long periods, yes.
Okay. So, Paul, you don't wear contacts?
No.
Mary, you did?
I did, yeah.
Did you nap when you wore contacts?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Eric?
So, I think there's a... this is fully, like, out in the Eric bullshitosphere, but I feel like there's probably a correlation between people who nap and people who don't wear contacts.
Oh, because your eyes dry out.
Yeah. So Paul's giving me that look because he's never fallen asleep with contacts in, and how fucking
happens?
Miserable it is.
What happens?
So your eyes dry out,
eyes
and your
get
contacts
dry,
just fucking stick to your eyeballs, and it's impossible to get them out.
Even like a half hour or 20 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me, it was usually if it was like more than an hour. If it was less than that, then they were okay.
Okay, yeah. If I fall asleep for 20 minutes with my contacts in, it's just like suction cups on my eyeballs.
I didn't know you wore
Sounds like you got
contacts.
shitty eyes.
Oh yeah, my mom's fucking like borderline legally blind, dog. The fact that I can read from 8 feet away is a goddamn miracle.
To be fair,
Eric,
I was too.
You wear contacts every day?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I've worn my glasses in front of you many
I
a
saw
time.
your glasses occasionally, but I didn't. I thought you just went without
you think
them.
I was just like fake readers? Like I was just trying to
No,
look sexy?
just like I don't know. Occasionally, you just want to pretend you were smart or something.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an asinine theory that I have, that people who wear contacts probably nap less. And I feel like that probably holds because if you nap a lot and you wear contacts, you probably switch to wearing glasses.
Okay. Quick impromptu lightning round. Yes or no? Eric, is napping good for you?
Yeah, sure. I guess.
Mary,
Probably.
is napping good for you?
I don't know, but I do it, so yeah.
Paul?
Well, I'd say yes. And a study by the University of Michigan, doctoral student Jennifer Goldschmidt and colleagues found that after waking from a midday nap, people were less impulsive and had greater tolerance for frustration than people who watched an hour-long nature documentary.
That's all right. All right. Hold up. This is some bullshit right here. Because if you have the type of lifestyle that allows you to take a nap in the middle of the day, you're probably less stressed in the first place. And therefore have more tolerance for
No,
bullshit.
this was an experiment. This was an experiment done and they were randomly selected to each group, Eric. Sorry.
I don't
Could be
know.
built into
I
the
don't know
culture
about
too.
this.
Like people take siestas, and that's like a culture-wide thing.
That actually super interesting. So the research, if I could just kind of summarize the research quickly, because I don't think Eric's going to let me get through any of it. He's going to fucking take issue with all of it. Basically, short naps have been shown to benefit everything from memory recall to like frustration tolerance and emotional regulation to the ability to learn and recall. So it seems like there are these advantages to taking a small nap. There, you seem to have like cognitive, like a boost, let's say, a cognitive boost after the nap.
I could see that.
It seems to be case dependent because some people, when they nap, it's just like short and they feel great afterwards, like I'm describing. And then other people don't nap because they're like, I feel groggy as shit after a nap.
That's me. If I nap, first of all, if I'm taking a nap, you know that I'm in bad shape. Like that's already sign number one that I'm rough around the fucking edges. If I wake up from a nap, my entire afternoon is just like confused. I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm all over the place.
I have a question though. Do you set an alarm when you take a nap?
I take so few naps that no, because that will just fuck me up even more.
Okay,
if I wake up to an alarm in the middle of the afternoon, it's the next day.
So Eric,
well, I was gonna say like if you set an alarm and it like wakes you up in like the worst part of your sleep cycle, I could see why you're groggy then. But if you naturally wake up, like maybe that would be better.
So Mary, do you nap?
Yeah.
How often? How many times a week?
I don't know. Probably only like once a week, really. But not for long. It's usually 20 minutes.
Okay. And Eric, you're a never napper.
I'm a never nude and
it's like a never nude.
And I am a definite napper, probably 2 or 3 times a week. Probably for like.
Have you always
30...
been?
No, it's as I've aged.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 20 it's like 20-30 minutes and I feel refreshed AF when I open those eyes. And I just wake up naturally in about 20-30 minutes. There's no alarm needed. I'm just up. And I feel like born again. It's amazing. And Keith is a napper and he also reports very similar. He feels awesome after a 20-30
Keith is like nap. Leonardo da Vinci in that he never sleeps for more than 3 hours at a time.
That is true.
Eric, you might be interested to know that whether people prefer like napping or derive some pleasure from it, like, or they feel refreshed after, it seems to interact with how you sleep, like the genetics of like you. So for people that go into a real deep sleep, they wake up groggy as shit, and therefore they're self-selected to not be nappers. Whereas people who nap successfully and talk to science about it, oh, it's so great, I love napping. They are people who just they don't go so deep into sleep and just take this 20-30 minute like cat nap and wake up refreshed. So I think whether we like napping or don't like napping has a lot to do with the type of person you are. And Mary in our chat just asked, are we bringing this back to woodworking? So let's bring this back to woodworking.
Well, I was shaking my head to no.
we're just talking about sleep.
We're just good science talk with Mary falling out.
No. The part is like, I feel like for so long we have been shamed from taking naps. Like there was this like in my parents' generation, there was always this like, I don't take naps. That's for the weak. That's for weak people. There's all this like machismo about not taking a nap, as if only like.
Oh, that is cultural though, because in some Asian countries they take naps during the workday because they realize that it's better for you, and then they work until 1 a.m., which is also not healthy. But
sure, well, I mean, and the Spanish siesta, like you were just saying before, like, hey, we're gonna take 4 hours off in the middle of the fucking day.
Dude, I swear, there's like a bias against it in America where like people are like, I didn't fall asleep.
Puritanical culture,
my
baby.
Eyes. Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've heard that, right?
Yeah. I was just resting my eyes. That was my dad's line all the time growing up.
So bringing it back to woodworking, why I even thought about this is because like I definitely, like if I'm woodworking the whole day, I definitely get tired in the middle of the day. And I think like rather than just push through it and like fight through it with all these machines and shit, I'm just going to go stop and take a little nap because I think that is amazing. And I found it very helpful.
That's so zen of you, and I do not have that in my person.
Well,
Eric, I am like, if I get to that point, I will literally like, I'll put on some fucking metal, and I'll just like, I'm gonna fight you until I fucking win. I'm gonna fight this thing.
I'm also like that because I don't have the time I barely have enough time for woodworking. If I take time out of that to nap, then the day's just a wash, and then I'm like, all right, well, that sucks. Next weekend. Also, I don't have the luxury of going to sit somewhere comfortable to nap.
I was going to say, I'm really excited for the day that I open the shop door and you're just napping on the table saw.
Or I come up to your shop and I nap on your couch.
Dude, Larissa and Amanda both nap on the couch.
Yeah, it's a comfy couch.
It is.
See, they know what's best for them. Anyway, that's my public service announcement to everyone. Don't be ashamed to take a nap. All this shit your parents told you, I don't take naps, I'm just resting my eyes. That's bullshit. If you feel better when you take a nap, you fucking take a nap. That's my message.
Are we? I feel like we don't nap shame anybody in 2025. Is that a thing that still happens?
Good point. Yeah, that would not come across my mind.
You just did it.
I feel like if anything, people who don't take naps get shamed now. It's going the other way.
Eric, you just nap shamed. You're like, I just put on some fucking heavy metal music and powered through it.
You've had 3 cups of coffee today and didn't take a nap. Oh, you poor baby. Come to the light.
Whatever.
I think that, but in general, like this does bring us back to the point. I'm trying to bring us in here of like taking breaks. So like napping is a form of taking breaks, but in general, I would say if we're thinking longer term across like a larger range of time, taking breaks between projects for woodworking just to refresh, that is also really important to me. Debatably, you can go too long in the other direction, which I constantly do these days, in which I take breaks that are too long and then I get no motivation to get back in the shop. But I do think it's important for people to take those breaks so that they don't constantly burn out.
How long are the breaks you're taking?
I don't know. I can't measure it because my schedule is just so erratic now. But there's sometimes I'm not in the shop every week.
Have you been in the shop lately?
Yeah.
What have you been working on?
It's just small things. I made something for a little competition that was local. And then before that, oh my God, I don't remember. Oh, my heart cabinet. I don't know, just little tiny things that are achievable within a weekend.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right. And if you take too long of a break, what's the problem?
You just get so used to not being in the shop that you're like, all right, 1 more week is okay. 1 more week is fine. I have like errands to do or I have other things to do.
Sure. Like there's a muscle memory argument to be made, but I also think that you are the type of person that if enough time went by without you being in the shop,
Oh yeah, I
you
get
would, you would,
antsy.
you would come to the conclusion naturally, like, okay, it's time to get back in the shop.
Yeah,
Does it ever make you wonder if like you're losing your spark for woodworking?
it does. I've constantly wondered about that in this past year.
I've thought that before. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've never questioned that about myself.
Well, that's your full-time shtick, but like for Mary and
Yeah.
I,
But
if we take all this time
outside
off,
of that, yeah.
and
I'm
I'm
also
like,
someone who gets bored of things real fast. Or not real fast, but I will always eventually, at least in my past, and I'm trying to work really hard on it, but I like hobbies have come and go. I've gotten bored of things, and sometimes I stick with it, sometimes I don't, but I worry that I put all of this time and dedication into learning this skill and hobby. I don't want to lose my motivation spark, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just worrying too much though.
is it use it or
That's
lose
so
it, Mary?
unlike you.
With work.
Shut up. What'd you
Is
say,
it use
Paul?
it or lose it with woodworking and the
No, I
motivational
don't
spark?
think so. I don't think it's use it or lose it. I feel like, sure, you might just get rusty in some technical things, but I don't think you'll lose it. I don't think you'll lose it.
I've had many new woodworkers say to me exactly what you said, which is, I'm worried because I'm pouring all this money into a new shop, into this hobby. And I tend to be a serial hobbyer, is what the people say.
I
I've heard
see.
this many times. I used to be into photography, and now I have all these beautiful lenses that I hardly ever use. And then I was into DJing, and so my DJ equipment just sits in the basement. And now I'm getting into woodworking, and I have $20,000 worth of machines bought. And now it's like, I'm worried that I'm going to like get bored and move on from that. And so I think your point about asking yourself, like, is this just a passing moment, or am I really going to stick with this the rest of my life? It's a very like pertinent point. I've heard it many times.
Yeah,
Well-
also my approach to dating. So
And that's now going to be the after show. So here's two things I want to say to that, Paul. Number one, can we just take a moment to acknowledge that if you have the financial capacity to be a serial hobbyist, you're doing a-okay in life. Like that's a thing to like reflect on and be grateful for, because not everybody has that.
That's good.
Also, if you are a serial hobbyist and you want to know if you're actually serious about a hobby that you are picking up, don't start by spending $20,000 on it.
yeah, that's valid.
Start with the most basic and most frustrating things of that trade, the tools of that trade, and find out if you like that part of it. Because if you like it when it's hard, you're probably going to like it once you spend $20,000 on it, and it's a lot easier.
That's true. Or join like a makerspace, honestly.
Yeah. Just like rent a camera, like, you'll be fine.
Are there hobbies you guys have ditched before this, that like you thought that was it and it like was a passing fancy?
It wasn't a bouncing fancy for me. I just got tired of it. I ditched painting. I used to paint a lot, and it didn't become fun anymore for me.
I don't know that I've had a lot of hobbies that I ditch. I do tend to be obsessive about things, and like I can tell pretty quickly if it's a thing that I'm going to obsess long term about, or if it's a thing that I'm going to do for a couple of weekends. And if it's a thing I do for like a couple of months, sure, I'll spend $100, $200, whatever, and then just like fuck around for a little while. But I can tell pretty early on if it's got that thing that's going to carry me through.
For me, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mary.
I was going to say, for me, I need something to work towards a lot of the time to keep my motivation going. So like I was running for a while last year because I had the half marathon in November to work towards. And then immediately after, like completely just cold turkey stopped running.
Shocking.
And I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like a full marathon. No, immediately stopped. And this has happened 3 times now. And like the day after the half marathon, I was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm never running again.
You're like, actually, I love pasta, so that's my new hobby.
Oh yeah.
So Mary, is violin your longest standing sort of hobby that you gave up? I know it was more than a hobby.
I would say yes, but it was not a hobby I chose. So I can't really consider it that.
That matters, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, what was your longest standing hobby that you gave up?
that I don't have anymore,
Or that you don't
know.
do much. You choose
I
not
don't
to
know
do
that I
anymore.
would say that I gave it up so much as I just don't have access to a piano right now.
Oh, I got a piano, bruh.
I know. You know how long I was waiting for that text when I put that fucking bird inside the keyboard? So Mary and I have a long-standing tradition of when each of us goes away and the other person watches their house, watches their flowers, whatever it is, feeds their cats. We hide these little chickens around the house. And the first time it was like 12 chickens around my house that I had to find. And the couple of months, 3-4 months ago, she went away. And I hid like 6 or 8 around. And, you know, you put them in the obvious spot. Like one was in the microwave. One was like
Right.
on a shelf, you know. And then there was another one that she didn't find for like a couple of weeks. She was like, oh, I didn't even notice it was here. And then I've been waiting for the piano one inside her keyboard. I put one on a white key because I wanted to know. I want to know how often you play this fucking piano.
Yeah, I don't.
It was literally
play that often.
it was literally like 4 months later. She was like, "Oh my god," and I was like, "Finally."
that was a hobby that I picked up during COVID. I really went deep into piano and then bought my own piano. And when I moved here, I was still really into it. And then like that just completely dropped off hard.
Well, so that is my thing. I love playing piano. I still do, and I just don't have one currently. And so
I had no idea you played piano.
You should come over and play me some lullaby while I'm napping. That's how that works, right?
In the history of our friendship, that's the weirdest thing you've ever said to me. Could you just come play me a lullaby while I nap? If you think I'm not setting up a camera and selling feet pics to the internet while you nap, like that's
wow, I didn't realize we're going through blackmail now.
Holy shit.
Gotta turn a profit on this thing.
Mary's OnlyFans feet.
Paul, what's your hobby that you gave up, buddy?
I don't want to talk about it after that.
After feet pics?
After
feet pics is your hobby?
When I was young, I was really into computers, like all about computers, building computers, going to computer shows, buying the next part, like putting them together, like overclocking, like all that stuff, like computer. And of course, computer games came with that. And I don't know what happened, but I just lost just any interest in computers. Like I just wanted to work. Don't fucking bother me with the computer problems. Like, and I'm still pretty good with how to use them and fix them, but I just don't have any. I don't know why it went away. And then trombone, like most of my life, like Mary, kind of like you, I chose it, but it was a long time. It was like 4th grade through the end of graduate school. And after that, I was like, okay, I did the thing. I know how to do the thing. I could pick it up any moment and still play it, but I just have no desire. It's just gone. And I don't know why. And that spooks me because what if that happens with woodworking?
I mean, we continue to evolve into different people, you know?
I know.
Who you are in 10 years isn't who you are now.
It's true. I just hope it never happens because I don't want that. I don't know what I would do with myself, but
I also feel like the older you get, the more you like being comfortable. Maybe this is too generic, but I feel like when I'm younger, I'm more open to trying new things and abandoning them quicker, and maybe not putting in as much hard work. But now I feel like I need to prove something to myself, and that probably comes with age.
I don't disagree with that. I think maybe the flip side of that is as you get older, you have tried enough things that you learn kind of what you like and what you're good at and what the sweet spot of that Venn diagram is. And so you tend to keep the things that are working longer than you did when you were younger.
Yeah.
Because hey, all right, I've crocheted, I've played the trombone, I've, done rec kickball leagues, like woodworking's kind of my thing,
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Eric, you actually tied this back into our earlier topic, which is
you're welcome.
The things that may last the longest are ones that we have aptitudes for.
And scene.
Yeah, for real. Trombone for the longest time. I was good at playing classical music. I was like a decent photocopier. Like I could play what I was supposed to play. But then I tried jazz and I failed miserably. I couldn't find the creativity. Like it just wasn't in me. Whereas I could see that the guys next to me were just like improvising like crazy, all these great things. And I just didn't understand why. And I tried and I tried and I fought and I fought. And I still was like, I mean, I got better, but I still didn't have it. I still sucked. And my jazz friends still make fun of me to this day. In fact, I'm having dinner with one on Friday. He used to call me One Note Jasper because I couldn't think of what to play.
Aww,
The simplest fills of all time.
Dude, this was 20 years ago, and
Leaned on that B flat hard though.
And he still says, all you need, Paul, is really one good note. Fuck. But then woodworking came, and it came so easy, and it was so reinforcing, and I loved it so much, and it just like everything happened so easily and so fast, and so maybe we stick with the things that we have aptitudes for.
So
That is funny. Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say that is funny because I feel like now that I haven't been playing violin, like during COVID, I was like, oh, I should get a violin again. Like I couldn't fly back to the East Coast to get it. So I was like, I'm going to rent one. And then I was like, wow, I actually enjoy this again because I've like find this is a hobby for me now. Like I chose to do this. The problem was that my technical skills were not as good. And I got frustrated with myself because I remembered how good I used to be. And then I was like, well, this sucks. I told myself I was going to keep working on it, but of course I didn't because I had woodworking and I wanted to focus on that instead. But I feel like it's true. Like you want to return to the things that you have an aptitude for or are naturally good at.
Because they're reinforcing.
Yeah.
And you want to feel good about yourself instead of constantly struggling, right?
Well, also, you don't want to waste your time doing something fruitless.
That is true.
Like
yes.
if you're not good at it and there's a reason to do it, great. Like you can bear that burden of learning a thing because like there is a point at the end of that road that you're trying to get to. If it's just a hobby, if it's just a fun thing and you suck at it, it's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's not fun.
So what about this idea, Eric, of getting older? Like this point was brought up about like getting older, less willing to take risks, you're less exploratory. You kind of cement into like certain avenues.
I mean,
But specifically, my question is like with woodworking, there's a physical component to it of like wrangling big slabs and like feeling tired from the physical exertion. Is that something you think about with your future in woodworking?
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I'm working on a big door right now, and the last 3 days have just been me slinging these, giant 16 quarter by 11 foot pieces of ash around the shop and milling them and resawing them and re-gluing them up and doing all the things. And my body hurts, man. I'm fucking tired. So I think there is that component of it, but I think what we do I mean, it's not just millwork, right? So like you can make boxes, you can make doors, you can make small objects and large objects. And I think you can shift depending on what your body is physically capable of. What I know is even if I was physically incapable of doing what I'm doing right now, I would still show up in the shop tomorrow and find a way to do something because I think it's just so deeply ingrained in me in a positive way, not just like it's what I do and I've never questioned it. I question it all the time and I keep coming to the conclusion that this is what I want to do with my life and continue to do with it. So I would just find something else to make. But yes, I am aware that in 40 years, I'm probably not going to be slinging things around the shop the way I am now. But also like Larissa the other day yelled at me for picking up something heavy and moving it in a way. And she was like, you're not going to be able to do that in 40 years. And I was like, yeah, but I can do it now. So why the fuck wouldn't I do it now? Like that was the fastest way to do it. It's a dumb argument.
And Mary, have you ever had physical limitations with the shop? Anything like that?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. I did a dining table that was white oak. I think it was like 200 pounds. It was so freaking heavy. I had to get someone to help me. I was still in a makerspace, which was good actually. And there's always someone around to help me move it or flip the tabletop because it was so big. And I was like, I'm not doing another dining table because that sucked. And I'm a one woman business, whatever you want to call it. So yeah. So now I don't do dining tables.
I'm thinking about this because I'm making a new sign for a local farm as part of volunteering. There's an organic farm I belong to, and as part of getting your farm share, you have to do some time in the fields, like picking or weeds or like picking crops or whatever they need. Like that's just the volunteer piece of belonging to this farm. Everyone has to do it, even when you pay. And I thought that's that's awesome. And so I thought, what may be more valuable to them is if they have some woodworking needs. I'm a woodworker, maybe that's higher value because it's
not everybody can do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I said to them, I'm like, I'm a woodworker. You'd be happy to give you some my volunteer hours in the form of woodworking. Is there something you need? And they're like, we need a new sign, like a big, like 7 foot by 8 foot.
Oh, damn.
Oh, wow.
Like main farm sign with a roof over it. And I said, okay, let's do that. So the last couple days, I've been slinging these.
Shop pretty small.
Yes.
Yeah. So 7 by 8 foot's like half his goddamn shop.
Yeah. So I'm doing it like in the driveway and like bringing things into the shop as I need to be. And I turned my table saw 90 degrees to like face it out and all this stuff. And
how thick is this bad boy?
The timbers, they're 6 true 6 by 6 cedar timbers that are 8 feet long, and trust me, they're fucking heavy. And I noticed yesterday my back like gave me a little tweak, and it's an ever-present reminder that's like, baby boy, you better watch out. I was like,
but I also think, like, having grown up in construction and doing manual labor, I think that always existed. We're just like, as we get older, when that happens, we're more aware of our mortality and the like the aches and pains are like more. There are more of them in number,
and they take longer to recover.
They do take longer to recover. That's
serious.
The thing.
It's not just like a little tweak. You're like, if you have a back spasm, you're out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's not like 2 days. So anyway, I had a moment of appreciation that I can still pull this off, that I can still lift these things, I can still wrangle. And I've mortised and tenon. It's like mortise and through tenon on these gigantic beams. I feel like I'm timber framing, for God's sake.
I mean, you are 6 by 6 by 8. That's timber framing, dog.
How are the letters? Are they painted or are they engraved?
I CNC'd them, so I'll paint them. I'll attach them and paint them. So it's a little bit of CNC, a little bit of timber framing, but they're gonna love it. It's all cedar. They're pleased as pie. So anyway, all right. With that, kids, I think that's about it for our potpourri episode.
We're gonna end on the ever increasing closeness of our mortality.
I mean, if you want, Eric, I'm always down for that.
All right, so we're going to talk about Mary's dating life in the after show, yeah?
Nope.
That's a big yes.
Did not come back for this.
That's a big 10-4.
That is a huge yes.
Hard yes.
We'll see you in the after show for the juicy details.
Oh my God. I'm never coming back.
Okay, bye.
Bye.